has this practice changed your life?
It's really more of expanded my life. So it really is built on everything else I've done. So this is more the pinnacle of my life, you could say.
Why do you do this practice?
Just like why all other artists do their practice, or why musicians do their practice. That is just what they do, and they can't see themselves doing anything else. I come here because even though I know practice will be difficult, I just end up coming anyway because I couldn't see myself doing anything else, really.
How is practice difficult? How so?
Well, of course, it's physically challenging, but there's also the concentration, too. So just like people are maybe concerned about going into a classroom and having to do all the hard work, it's the same way here, too.
What do you value about this practice?
I would say the deep understanding of what is real, and the tools that are provided to go into what is real and discovering what that is as one does more of the practice.
How have you benefited from this dance practice?
I've come to a deep appreciation of the Newar culture, and appreciating all the people who are in it, and seeing that it's not just the priests and the artists who are part of it, but also everyone is a part of the culture. The musicians, the merchants, everyone is a part of the culture and is participating in this, but in their own way.
I'm actually curious. How do you know the history of this particular lineage and the actual?
Some of the main points we are taught. We do have lectures every once in a while, usually for quite a while.
You guys are teaching?
His first name is Daya, and he's I believe he's also a professor, but he writes an intellectual journal, a published journal. So he's more of our local scholar. So we more work together with him, almost like with a synergy, whereas he produces the scholarly work, and then based off of that, we practice the Newar culture, and then he sees that and is inspired to write more. I think that's how it goes.
Did you meet him after or before you set up your job perform?
Oh, afterwards, because I came to the dance classes first, and then as I spent more time here, I eventually got to meet Daya and hear some of his scholarly work.
How would you describe this entire environment to someone who hasn't seen it before or not familiar?
Well, it's really a different space. When people come in here, they say that they feel like they're in Nepal, and this is coming from the people who have been to Nepal. So again, it is a different space, and it's a space that's created. It's created through the daily ritual, just like how there are daily rituals in Nepal. There are daily rituals here. So practicing the Newar culture has created this space.
So that covers these questions. I do want to know, what's your background? Prior to this dance, what was your background?
Well, it depends on how far back you want to go for the background. It's a long background, but before this dance, it was more of an experimental, interpretive dance, but it was similar in that it began from the inside out, just like this dance. This dance begins from one's mind, or it begins from the elements that create this mind, and even farther back than that. So the dances that I was performing before then were similar to that. They were more of the formless dances, more experimentation, more of working with an intention and practicing that intention, and seeing what would arrive after practicing that intention and concentrating on it for quite long amounts of time, just as challenging as this.
Were you already exploring Buddhism at that point?
I began exploring a long time. Luckily, I went to a religious high school, so we got to learn about many different religions. So Buddhism was one of those we were taught. So I began back in high school, and my advisor was also my religious teacher too. So that was how it began. Also, I was in Japan for 1 year. I speak the language too. And so experiencing Buddhism in Japan, in one of the oldest cities in Japan, was quite inspirational.
Zen Buddhism?
Let's see. Well, it's interesting. In Japan, they don't really say whether it's Zen or it's this or it's that. People just say it is Buddhism, and you go to the temples, and there are certain things to do, certain appreciations, certain understandings. That's really all. And again, over there, religion isn't very. It's not. It's more of a private thing. So one can go to the temple, and it can go through have certain understandings, be taught certain things. But as for what one experiences, that's really their own private matter. And so it really makes it unique for everyone there.
Interesting. Do you guys want to know anything?
That's good, yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Anything you want to share? Or anything, actually,
Oh,
two
gosh.
things. Anything you want to share, and also
It
anything
doesn't.
you want to find out about other people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good question. I think that we're all actually working from the same essence, or trying to work from the same essence. I'm sure we all have different challenges of getting there. And actually, hearing what those challenges are probably doesn't matter. I think it's just mostly that we're all focusing on a similar essence, or on the same essence, or trying to discover what that is. And I like to hear what people would think is helpful for others to know, to help them to walk into that space.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about performance.
Right. So probably the big question is, what's the difference between practice and performance? Probably the best thing to start with is, why do people practice? Well, they practice so that their performance will improve, or so that they understand their performance more. My experience with performance is that it's really just like practice. It's just that with performance, there's an extra push. There's a lot more going on that aids in the performance. So of course we have costumes. We have the audience, which inspires us to dance and to concentrate. And it's also nice to know who's there, and to know that what the dancer's doing is illustrates the personal practice of the audience, and it encourages the dancer to concentrate and perform better, and to be a better dancer, knowing that one is saddled with a pretty heavy responsibility, but also that how can I say? The dancer is basically saddled with a heavy responsibility, and needs to make certain things happen, and that one cannot fake this dance. It has to come from the inside out. There's no acting. There's no procedures, really. There are some things that are typically done, but it's done. Everything's done with an understanding. Nothing is fake. Everything is really as real as it gets, and that is what a performance is.
Do people, do people when they watch a performance, do you think what they get out of it, in addition to sort of actually practicing it, or as opposed to practicing it, do you think there is equal amounts of benefits from watching the performance versus actually practicing?
My experience from the very first performance is that I didn't see, and still don't see, a difference between the dancer and the audience. So during a dance, I think that I'm part of the audience, really. And I think the audience is part of the dancer. There's really no division between them, in my experience.